Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to the Shadow and Sun Show. Tonight's sci-fi shadow chat, as you can see from the title, we're going to talk about giant stompy robots. Joining me tonight, long time no see, the little guy, my one and only, my son. Why aren't you coming in here? Get in here. There you go. Nice.
Bastard asshole.
You're just trying to get us demonetized, aren't you? Oh, wait. We're not monetized. We don't actually care about that crap right now.
Yeah, we don't.
Now, I've invited Brian from Weird World War II, and I've also invited Grim and a couple other folks to join us in the chat. Now, for me, giant stompy robots, one thing always comes to mind, and I am going to give you guys a little taste of what I'm talking about, show you guys just how far back my memory goes. Because I have that kind of memory. That's how old I am. How's that for a blast from the past? So, with that being sung, let's get this show on the road. I have been a huge fan of giant stompy robots, mech, droids, Gundams, all that stuff since I was younger than my co-host tonight. Hey, what's happening, Squirrel? You want to jump in? The link's right there. Who we got? We got Omen. Hey, Omen.
Oh no.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Other than being a little sore, it's going pretty well. And actually, I'll have to say something. I've watched half the movie that Jack recommended, and I like it so far.
Half of it? That's
Well,
more
it's
than
like
me.
a 2.5-hour movie, so I mean,
Yeah.
It's how long?
It's like 2.5 hours.
Oh, geez, we better get up early tomorrow because we haven't watched 1 minute of it. Or at least I have.
Yeah.
You've watched the whole thing?
I watched half of it. Oh, well, your son.
Okay, you guys are a little bit further ahead than I am. Do you remember Gigantor?
I don't remember Gigantor. I remember the Voltron. I remember watching the stuff like Ultraman.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
some
we actually.
of them.
Go ahead.
Well, some of them I remember, like they had the Power Rangers. I remember watching stuff like that in the late 70s when I was like 4 or 5, and I went, "Why the hell they putting American crap in here when they had the perfectly good Japanese with the much more violent, bloody, things that burst out of the chest? It was a lot more fun with the Japanese version." But yes, when you said big stompy robots, I'm like, well, we got a bunch of this in here.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched Voltron back in the day. I watched Battle of the Planets. I ran home from school to watch Star Blazers, to catch it on channel 52, which was just like a half a mile from my house. And of course, had to watch it on UHF, which, if you guys don't know, that was like mostly black and white channels, but on a completely different frequency and dial. Yeah, we had dials on our phones, and no remote control. Remote control was whoever was youngest. They would just stand by the TV and turn the knob until everybody said, "Okay, cool, that's what we're watching."
Well, no. Don't forget the youngest also had to play with the antennas.
Oh yeah.
I will say this much: is some of the stuff like Star Blazers I saw when I was in Germany, and at the time they would show 1 episode a week. And so some of these became like 2-year events.
Wow. Did you watch Robotech when it came out?
I found Robotech in like 1987, and I would watch it, and then for whatever reason, I don't know, they got, they they started changing some of the comics and stuff, but I loved Robotech. Um, I am probably, I guess I'm the only person that liked the Southern Cross because that's the first ones I watched rather than the.
Oh, really?
That was see, I watched in the middle because I came in and they would show it every day, and so you start from whatever episode is, and they'd repeat. You know how that goes. So.
Mhm. Yeah, I was kind of let's say a pretty big fan of all three, plus the Sentinels. I had that on cassette, and I read all the paperback books, and then
I did too.
my mom read all the paperbacks, and every one of my friends read them, and I wish I would have never gotten rid of them, but I did for whatever dumb reason. I needed money or something. But it was a lot of fun. Um, and I'm going to give Max credit because he is the first Max from Legion of Myth. He is the first person I heard use the term giant stompy robots. And while it has kind of a squishy kid like sound to it, I still like the sound of it. It's just
I love that. Well, I remember Robotech, and I remember BattleTech, and between the two, I liked because I didn't mind Theater of the Mind, but the ranges were realistic. Whereas BattleTech, the ranges, especially going up around the military, I'm like, what the hell? I know, you can't. Yeah. I said 600 meters. I said, get real. My father was flying Apaches, and like he was going, yes, and this goes out to like 3 kilometers or more. That's why in the world can't the missiles hit like that. So that was the only problem I had with BattleTech. That of course that's why I always tease Max. Was like, oh, well, BattleTech's so good, you can't hit any damn thing. Give me a 1980s Cold War army, and I can take out a BattleTech.
Right. Well, what did you think of the did you play Palladium games?
That's actually, as soon as I got that, that's where I did all the Palladium games. So I had the when they first came out with the main Robotech book, and then I bought all the books plus the modules somewhere. And of course, and how it crinkles in the side when it has the soft cover. I remember that. Everyone
or worse peeling off.
Yeah, well, it would peel right at the edge, but not completely peel. So it'd just be partially, right at that edge. And then I remember getting the Sentinels, and then I remember reading the books and I never saw, to be honest, I heard about the cartoon, but I didn't see the cartoon until probably within the last 12 months. I found it online. Let me watch this.
It wasn't too bad. I like the books better.
Yes. Well, they had time to develop them too, to be fair. They had 90 minutes, and that's all that they ever made, and it died for some reason.
Yeah.
So
I probably a Harmony Gold issue or something like that. Now, Jackie, do you remember watching the Robotech we watched way back? Can you hear us, Jack? Because we can't hear you.
Oh, apologies. I had it muted because somebody's watching a soap opera right next to me.
Gotcha. Do you remember Robotech?
Barely. I remember that I watched it, but not much more.
Okay, well, it was pretty good. There was a lot of stuff in it that I really didn't care for. A lot of the humor and the sort of cuteness because they were trying to appeal to boys and girls. With characters like Lisa Hunter and Min May, who I'm sure I'm not alone in despising every second she was on camera.
I didn't mind Lisa because that was fine, but yeah, the Min May. Well, that's probably why I like the second edition more than the first or the second generation.
I really actually did like second gen a lot. I've always been, a fan of tanks. As my dad's friend used to call them, creepy crawlers. I built probably just as many tank models as aircraft. And YJ, I hate to admit it, I liked Gundam better. Even the earliest Gundam up to I watched the early ones, and then I stopped watching it around Gundam Wing, and that was my favorite. I absolutely loved that one. Was so complex and deep with the story. I realized some of the characters were kind of goofy, but they had to do that. They had to throw that sort of chibi sort of moments in there every once in a while, and I'll let that slide, if it's not too much, unless it's meant to be uh, sort of humorous, like Ranma one half, or what was the other one I used to watch? It'll come to me.
That
But
I'm going to mention, because we're all talking about really big robots. I'm going to mention that what were they called? I really enjoyed the Ghost in the Shell series.
oh yeah,
With their
yeah,
little
that was a great.
with their robots, because the robots weren't overly large. They were a reasonable size that you could expect with the firepower accordingly. I saw Gundam. I did for a while, but after a while, everything just got more and more overpowered, and it didn't get as interesting. That's the problem I have with a lot of them. Yeah, exactly. The scale is a little crazy. That's
No
one thing
worries,
that
YJ. I was actually, for whatever reason, I got to see the first two or three Gundams before Robotech. Hey, Stage Forsaken, long time no see, man. Glad you popped by. If you want to jump in, the link's there. Um, hey, I'm sure you know how to use it. And QC 250 Rider, also welcome to the show. I love a Gundam. The Berserker Gundam was my all-time favorite. My all-time favorite was Tall Geese, and I still have that one. I got to break them out. I've got a bunch of older Gundams that are, I guess, still made today, but I've got about a half a dozen of them that I built and then I put away so that my boy could play with them someday. And he kind of just sort of passed that era. He was into Legos. I forgot I had him. Then one day I was looking through some boxes and I found him. Like, he's kind of past that. Stop playing with toys and stuff. But I'll break them out, dust them off, and probably put some up on the shelves back here. And
not
I know Bo's a big fan of them. He and I are going to do a Gundam challenge, hopefully by the end of this month. This month was supposed to be all about Gundams, but our Dungeons and Lasers stuff came in, and I kind of had to get working on that. Hey, what's happening, Jordan? Long time no see.
not that I'm going to do the best, but I kind of like the smaller. When I say smaller, don't get me wrong, they're still big, but I didn't like the ones that were 60 feet tall. I like the ones that are more in the 20-foot range, because that are just looking at my Cthulhu Tech, which has some stuff in there. Not that I ever played it. Some of it was kind of a cool idea, but I couldn't quite get into it. But how the hell did I buy this for $25? Anyway, but
Have you ever done any model kits there, Omen, or lately?
not lately. Some of it is I know you guys really enjoy putting stuff together.
Oh, absolutely.
I like Legos where I can take them apart and put them together. I mean, if I was going to really build something, I would love to get that Rivendell set. To completely derail this topic, but
hey, that's not like it's not like that's never happened before.
Isn't that our brand?
Yeah. We're actually going to do a derail stream at some point, just to prove a point. But yeah, I don't mind going off topic a little here and there.
But I meant for construction, I like that. And my son does the mega blocks. But the problem that I have with a lot of the stuff that I know that you guys did is I used to get the old model kits that were the 1 in 40 or something, where they'd have the half tracks or things like that, and they would just. I didn't have the patience to sit there and assemble them. They were really intended for people that were, I hate saying it, that are our age, that enjoy putting ships in bottles.
Sure.
But when you're like 10 years old, you're kind of going, I don't, I also wanted to.
Well, that's why Jackie and I, we put together a model together. I think it was Friday, right, Jack?
Did we?
Well, because today's Saturday. Or was it Thursday?
Wait, are you talking about what I think you're talking about?
No, it had to have been Thursday. Yeah, because we didn't do the video, but we still did.
Is it the
We
thing?
still put yeah, it's a big thing, big white thing that we're going to show off tomorrow.
Cool.
I think it's really a father and son thing. It really, it really, we were working together as a team to put the same thing together. I would do the boring, mundane stuff, and he got the fun of, doing the glue stuff, right? Because that's more fun, right, buddy? The standing and the filing. I can't picture any little guy really wanting to sit there and file away and, do the sanding but you break out the glue and, you get to, feel it getting put together.
What is it? What is it when the kids get their fingers stuck completely together? You're just like, I just have to laugh. It's like,
well, he used to have a bigger problem with that, but over the years, we've put together a lot of stuff together.
My only problem with it now is when I say this a bunch, but whenever my hands get stuck to whatever it is I'm doing, and in order to pull my hands off of the thing, I end up undoing or pulling that thing apart. That really annoys me. Other than that, I don't care.
I'm just teasing.
Press the accelerator on and it disappears.
I'm just teasing about that. When you talk about assembling things, my son and I put some bookshelves together a few weeks ago, and he had a lot of fun with that. He's been helping me dig holes. He's been having a lot of fun. It's just funny on the things that the father-son dynamic enjoys, versus other aspects. Like if it was coming down to role-playing games, no, Dad. Oh, but if
I'm going to take umbrage with that, Rick. I've got a couple of Gundams up here that me and the boy put together. We've got 2 more in the box ready to get together. Now, I did make one tiny mistake because I can't read Japanese, but I still managed to put together one of them. And the little mistake was there's a little tiny piece that's like an optional piece. If you put it in there, I put it in there. I kept falling out like crap. I'm just going to glue it in there. Then I find out that was a cover that if I hadn't put it in there, I could have put the other weapon in there, to hold the weapon on the back. So now I've got like an extra weapon just laying on the table or on the shelf there because it's only got 2 hands and it can't carry the third weapon. But they're you just like with anything, if you're patient and you take your time and you don't rush it, I think you'll have a no problem. Now, Squirrel says here he's got a friend who will build you anything you want out of Legos. He even does commissions. Can you send me a link to that later, and I'll find a way to post it in the comments in this video, because I'm sure there are people out there that would love to be in on that. I was looking a while back at some people who make 40K models, like tanks and things like that, out of Legos, and I was thinking, well, shit, that'd be a great way to, play some poor hammer, as it were, without having to spend. I mean, obviously, you'd probably have to have a pretty decent collection of Legos to pull that off, especially things all in the same color. But
it's Legos. It doesn't have to be all the same color. That's the great thing about Lego.
I think TM James would disagree with that.
You know what? Screw him. No. If you're playing with Legos, it's Legos. Damn it! It's
a mistake. You rest your case.
No.
Come on, one mistake out of 100 steps. I can deal with a 1% margin of error. That's pretty dang good for an old fart like myself.
Have you ever did you ever watch Lego Batman? The best Lego Batman?
No, I've never seen it. I think the only Lego movie I saw was the Lego Movie, and we saw that in the theater, and I absolutely loved it. It was
Wait, what?
We saw the Lego Movie in the theater, didn't we? Or did we rent it?
We rented it like 50 times.
Oh, okay. From like Redbox or something?
You don't remember?
No.
I rented it so many times that you were starting to be like, like you watch that thing one more time, we're never renting it again, or something like that.
Oh, really? I don't
watched
remember that at all.
I've seen that movie more times than I can possibly count.
But
At least 20.
Have you watched Lego Batman?
Of course you did. Everything is awesome.
Yes.
Okay. Shauner's going to chime in with Mighty Orbots, FTW. You know, I don't know where I was, but I never saw that.
I don't remember a lot of this stuff. I used to sit there. It just depends on, like you said, what was on the UHF.
You know,
Orbots.
I don't know where I was, but I never saw that.
Depends on the
I don't remember a lot. Okay, somehow you're.
Oh, you've got some sort of echo going on.
Yeah.
You've got echo.
You got to turn off you got to turn off YouTube there. Okay, somehow you're. Well,
Okay.
I know what's happening is he's watching YouTube at the same time he came in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I've done that before. But it says he's still here. Nope, I guess not.
So the other part I'm thinking is, when we talk about the robots, is what was it? Was it Heavy Gear that they had a lot of that stuff for the RPG?
Yeah, I've got that game.
BattleTech was okay, except to be fair, the size. What kind of size do you want? Do you want Titan size? Do you want BattleTech size? Or Robotech size? Or do you want the ones that are a bit smaller, that are which is the type that I like, that are between the 10 to 20 feet tall? Those are my favorite because they're really maneuverable and they could hide.
Real quick here.
Ooh.
A challenger has entered the stream. Yes, that's right.
And then he left.
Something. QC Rider was talking about there being a Gundam game. Now that I would like to see, because the little guy and I played a game called Giant Monster Rampage that actually used things like action figures and toy dinosaurs and Legos to have Godzilla type battles, and it was a really simple system, a lot of fun. But if there's a Gundam game out there, I'm gonna have to check that out. YJ Poorhammer, that's epic. I didn't get into Warhammer just because of that. GW Greed, yeah. Welcome to the club. I mean, I've got a crap ton of GW stuff, but I got out of it because of the expense. Let's bring Bo in here. Bo, how you doing? Long time no see.
Better.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Weird software. Weird software issues. There is a Gundam game. It's called the Robotech RPG. It uses the Palladium system.
I actually have the Robotech miniature war game that's made out of model kits. There was a Kickstarter, one of the worst Kickstarters ever. But I did manage to get it, and I got it for like $50, and it's got like 100 model kits in it, and I'm just not up to it yet because they end up being about this big, and each one's got like 20 parts, and I'm just like, then I would need.
The problem that you have is that you're towing the line between war game and role playing game at that point.
Yeah,
and you could play. I have played BattleTech as a role playing game with the BattleTech RPG rules for the interaction, and then BattleTech rules for the mech combat. The problem is it really doesn't do. It's not a good role playing game. It's just not very good with the archetypes and where you spend your points to buy you put 4 points in whatever's most important and 3 points in whatever's less important, and it's just not very good.
I don't mind that actually. I understand what they did. I think it worked better for Shadowrun than it did for BattleTech. Was part of the problem that I have. I just didn't like
it. It's kind of weird coming from a GURPS player, don't you think, there, Bo?
No, because you had 4 points, and you picked your mech, your equipment, your skills, and whatever was the most important, you put 4 points in. When you put 4 points in your mech to get a good mech, then you could never have good skills because it was almost class based. It became an archetype, not the same as spending points if in GURPS that'd be fine. You'd get 200 points to spend. But when I play GURPS, I never use points to buy equipment. I always just give the players the equipment.
Well,
I could make the players buy equipment, but I've never done it.
I don't mind the point system. What it was that you had a priority system. It was 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Exactly.
And what you would do, like I said, I didn't have any real problems with it. But the whole point is you shouldn't be going for the big mechs at the beginning. You have almost no good skills, so you might as well be going for those light mechs anyway. Which, to be honest, the assault mechs aren't that much fun to play because they're slow. They don't do anything except slug it out. Whereas the really interesting missions are for your recon mechs. And when I say that, we're talking about your 25 to 35 tons.
No. Steiner Scout Lance. 4 Atlases.
Everyone talks about that, but it was mostly heavy. It was like Warhammer, and Atlas. But I looked at it as this much was I didn't have any problems with the priority system. I think the problem was that like any game is, you suddenly want to get the +5 Holy Avenger when you're the first level Paladin. No, you got to work your way up to that.
Actually, Jordan, I don't know how you can post without me making you a moderator, and I can't do that from here. Let me see if I can go into.
You specifically needed to turn off people posting, or else people could just do it regardless. Oh, great.
I'm gonna I wasn't a huge fan of it because, to be honest, I think that Renegade Legion was a far superior system for everything I liked. But I like Renegade Legion a lot better because I like the lore for BattleTech. I just didn't like the mechs because everything was such short range. Like, really?
Jordan.
But that's how BattleTech is too. I mean, you have to completely suspend disbelief to say that your PPC only has an effective range of less than 1,000 meters, for crying out loud. It's not reality based. But again, are we talking role playing games or war games or some amalgamation or both? And if we're talking about how to use big stompy robots in your game, I remember that Shadow and I talked a couple weeks ago about a big stompy robot can be anything from 9 feet or 12 feet tall up to you're fighting kaiju with your Pacific Rim, where you've got a robot that's as big as a skyscraper. That's
my speed. I absolutely loved Pacific Rim. Real quick, Jordan, you are now a moderator, and go ahead and post your link. I'm going to welcome Weird World War II into the stream, Brian.
All right, man.
What's up, guys?
I haven't seen you in a week. No.
I know, dude. Been on the down low.
I'm going to mention one other thing, though. Is anyone play Monster Apocalypse?
No. I was going to get that game when the little guy was a little bit younger, and it was just crazy expensive. And I pulled out Giant Monster Rampage, and we, duked it out. We might even pull that out one of these days during summer vacation, because I just found out his spring vacation is next week, right, Sport?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Don't go to Mexico. Don't do it.
I was going to, but
that's his plans for summer.
I mean, part of me loves I mentioned I backed the Kickstarter for Monster Apocalypse, and I bought the tail end of Monster Apocalypse when they were coming out with the box if it wasn't collectible anymore, which is what I like. I'm like, I just want to play stupid, I want to play with my son and everything was pre-painted. I know you guys love painting your stuff, but honestly, I'm a gamer first. I want to be able to put something down and just play.
I freaking hate painting, brother. I paint a lot of stuff. I just eyes in my age as I get older.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this for 40 years, man. And as I get older, I don't want to paint nothing. I just want to play.
So I mean, I have to look at that, but man, I love the whole idea of Monster Apocalypse, which is exactly kaiju and everything else. And you're just like, it's completely over the top. It's all tongue in cheek. You get to throw your monsters into buildings, and they take damage, and then you have little units, and they can, it's like King Kong. I mean, we talked as much about big stumpy robots. No, but you got like King Kong versus Ultraman versus Godzilla versus the one of them has the aliens that come down along with Cthulhu. It's meant for all these different things. That's all right. I'll just go 100% in, and I'm very disappointed in Mythic because they said it was supposed to be out in November. And then they just screwed everything up, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get it, but I would love to get it. I would like to get it before my son turns 18.
Welcome to the show, Tom. I hope you're a big a gamer and giant Stompy robot fan. You don't run away. It won't hurt. And our good friend Sage brought up Exo Squad. Does anybody remember that? Because I sure do.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of my recent projects is actually converting an Exo Squad, a Zentradi officer's pod, to 28 millimeter scale, and I actually did the math. And for the 3-inch, it's actually undersized, but for 28 millimeter, it's actually really close to the scale of a Marauder, and so it's like foot tall.
Robotech.
Yeah, but that's what Exo Squad, the Exo Squad toys were actually the same molds as the earlier Robotech toys. They were just rebadged. They were still made by Matchbox.
Gotcha.
And the Exo Squad versions came out in about 1995, and I found one on eBay for a decent price and picked it up, and I've started since they're made as toys, not minis, you have to take off all the sprue lines and fill in all of the screw holes with either Milliput or green stuff and start turning it into like a diorama model. And it's coming along pretty well.
Don't forget to file off those company stamps, too.
I
remember the hard way a couple of times.
I remember when Robotech got canceled, and remember there was a big a write-in campaign. And it came back on. I remember I used to work at a comic shop when I was 15. This is like an 87 or 88 or something like that. And I remember there was like a big write-off, like a big, we're going to write the studio or the whatever. But then it came back for another season, I think. So I remember that.
I think what it was is that they kept showing it and then they got rid of. That was the problem that I had with that. I wanted to smack Congress for all their stupid stuff they did for cartoons. We can't have violent cartoons.
Some of that, and some of that was still the Harmony Gold lawsuit that still haunts all of the BattleTech stuff to this day. The unseen, reseen, unseen, the big 15 mechs, and of those big 15, like 10 of them are from Robotech, and all of them are none of them are original. None of them are BattleTech properties, BattleTech IP.
Right. But I think that a lot of them were licensed through it. Yeah, I was like, how does that help either side?
I have to admit, it's not quite Stompy Robots, but I was a big Star Blazers fan more than Robotech when I was a kid.
You missed that earlier. We talked about that.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Oh, God, yeah. I used to have to run home from school to catch that, and it was on UHF, and the UHF channel was like at the college that was like 2 blocks away from my house, so it came in great for UHF back in the day. But yeah, I had a half-hour run from my school to get home to watch that, and if I was lucky, I'd get to watch a couple of minutes of the original Spider-Man cartoon before that, and man, it was such a great show. I mean, if you watch it now, it's kind of and there are better versions of Star Blazers out there. But at the time, as a kid, it was freaking epic.
I think they remastered it. They remastered the whole series.
I'm going to mention something. Do you remember when they had blood? And you're like, oh my God, they allowed to have blood on the cartoon. They was like, oh, that was so much for Robotech or whatever it was. It was one of those things they went, you just look back at it like you were just.
Yeah, I think there was like blood when Roy Fokker died.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Which was just stupid. He was my favorite character, and then he, died, and I'm not, yeah.
Well, everyone feels that way.
Well, yeah, but isn't that what everybody feels when their favorite character dies? And isn't it like a fact that people die? So if stories exist,
No, it was
It was
literally
the way
like
he died.
dumbest. It was the dumbest death in history. It was just.
It was the way he died. He
I
basically
don't remember. How did he die? I don't remember.
he got shot up and he went over to Claudia's and died there instead of going to the hospital. That
because they just got into a fight before the flight, and like he either promised or said he would come straight home, kind of thing, and because she was so mad at him that instead of going to the emergency room, he went there and then died. And I mean, kudos to them for for making the mixed race couple back then and stuff. In a cartoon, it was I like them as a couple and stuff. But Roy, let's face it, was the coolest character in the whole freaking series.
Right.
I'm gonna bring up the other part there. Was we like so much stuff, but man, I really do like the when we talk about big stumpy robots, you gotta go for
that is a good point though, Jordan. When you're shot and bleeding out and in shock, not thinking straight, but it was such a cool character.
But that was part of the thing I did not like about the Robotech role-playing game was that there wasn't a way of injuring the pilot inside the mech. It was all or nothing. That was the part that I didn't like. I know that BattleTech has some of that, where you hit the head and the pilot gets injured, or they can get feedback and they can get injured. Some type of problem that they have with that same thing with whenever you play Rifts, the same thing, which is until everything gets blown off, your guy inside is completely safe. And I kind of like it where bullets can shoot and damage the pilot inside or the human being.
You guys are talking about giant robots. I mean, did you guys ever watch any of the Starship Trooper, the animated show?
Absolutely.
Oh, that was fantastic. You talk about big monsters and the apes.
It was much more like the book.
Great show.
It was. I like the skinny, that they had in there, but they did 40 episodes and that was it. And I went, oh, really?
I know it was weird because I think Starship Troopers the show came out like 5 years after the movie or some long period.
Yeah, it was a crazy long amount of time.
Yeah.
I like the way you look at that Squirrel. He knew he was going to die regardless, so he kept his promise. But I'm pretty sure that they probably would have been able to stitch him up.
But I left. So guys, I have to say this. I left Robotech when the Zentradi were like bewitched by the singing. I just what? Wow. The whole singing thing, and they're like, oh, I'm like done. I'm gonna go watch G.I. Joe.
Actually,
much better use of your time.
Wait. Did you guys see the G.I. Joe? I'm completely deviate this part. Did you see the G.I. Joe cartoon where they killed off a bunch of the characters?
Sure.
That was pretty awesome.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
you mean the one? Are you talking about Adult Swim where Fumbles did it, or are you talking about?
It was always Fumbles.
No. I mean where they actually did it was on Adult Swim when I watched it, but I mean there was like bloody. I mean they were like killing characters off left and right in that one. I was like, crap.
Yeah.
Well, you have to kill off the old characters to make room for the new characters, so we can all buy new toys.
Well, I'm actually okay with it.
Okay, Rick, I'm gonna have to take all your moderator status for that one.
I didn't mind it, when you were doing for some of that. I said, well, let's be honest. At a certain point, guys, you've been in the military for 30 years. You're old guys like us who have bad knees and a bad back. It's like it's time to find some new characters.
Oh no, man! I was a huge G.I. Joe fan. I read all Hama's comics, the Marvel comics. I read all that stuff. I probably collected the G.I. Joe toys from the first to maybe the 5th or 6th series. And I was a huge Joe fan. But man, when it got day-glow colors and all that non-military, I was just like, I was done.
Native Eco Warriors.
Yeah, and then
That's
like,
real life
they're in
politics, guys.
Astro Warriors, and they're in space, or I don't know. And then and the
have
vehicles look stupid. They look like kid toys. They weren't like cool jets and tanks and stuff.
well, let's remember the. I mean, if we're going to talk about the old thing, which I know is the Cobra plane. I forgot what it was called. Where it actually
the Rattler,
where it has the wings that
Cobra Rattler. Yeah, I had two of those.
I mean, what did they do? They turned that into the Osprey almost. I mean, it's
like an A10. It's like kind of an A10.
It's an A10 meets the Osprey, for the wings. I thought that was pretty cool. Anyone that's actually looked at the Osprey with the tilt rotors. But I mean, those are pretty cool. I mean, some of the stuff actually, and then the plane was basically a knockoff of the F-14 for the I mean that. But the toys were fun. They actually like had moving parts. They were. I mean, I liked the toys and stuff. I also liked the little biography on the back.
Oh yeah, the files or whatever.
I was so mad at my parents. Like because I got a couple of them. Like, you left off this thing. I had to learn it the hard way. I had Snake Eyes and who was the other guy?
I had the Cobra Commander. You cut out the little proof of purchases and you send them off. I got the Cobra Commander through that, and the glider, one of the glider giveaways. I've actually still got my G.I. Joe fan card.
Oh, cool!
So fan club card.
We're talking about this, but as far as games,
Brian, I got to ask you a quick question.
What's up, man?
What G.I. Joe figure was the one that looked like? What the hell was that character? You remember the movie Top Secret?
Yeah, like the World War II comedy one.
But the little kid had that imaginary friend, Jack.
No, that wasn't Top Secret. That was the one with Dabney Coleman, right?
Yeah.
Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
What was the action figure that looked just like him? Do you remember?
Like I don't know.
Because that was like the only one I ever had. I found it on the way home from school because I was like in high school or something. And I found it, and it was just like, and we had this running game because my friends would all come over to my place and hang out in my room and play D&D or whatever game we were playing at the time. And one of my friends would always like,
Kirk's Mecca.
Would take that action figure and like move him in the room. Like he was trying to escape my room, and every time we caught him by the window, we'd drag him back, and eventually he actually escaped. So, hey, Travis, speaking
but he got blown up by an M80 out behind the chemical sheds.
Out today, Travis, you should get it by Friday, they said. Dungeon Minister, welcome to the show. Mike Miller, welcome to the show. And before we get too far off track, I actually had a couple of questions. Let's see if I can actually find them now. Of course, I can't find them.
So while he's going to
Jack,
do that,
you remember what they were?
My favorite
what was
robots has to be Adeptus Titanicus. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
That's pretty up there. I
don't think
I remember playing
What?
I remember playing Adeptus Titanicus when it first came out, the Horus Heresy stuff. I remember the big thing we used to do is we used to use the Marine jetpack assault squads to jump on them and then assault the crew inside. Because, you got land raiders and stuff shooting at those traders, but man, if you get in those void shields and you get inside and just take out the crews, dude, we used to do that all the time, man.
Right.
I still have all of that stuff from the very beginning all the way up to when I quit with Epic Armageddon because that game was dog water. It was absolutely they just ruined.
I like how that's a consistent part of your vocabulary now.
You're
dog
welcome.
Water.
Yeah, that's something. My son and his best friend. I don't know where they got it, but they started using it, and it worked.
It does work.
But yeah, I
don't think I've ever heard that
Epic.
Together, so it's unique. Shadow and Sun, trademark, dog water.
Oh.
It's your word.
Catchphrase. Dog water.
It
No,
certainly
I don't
is.
want that. I don't want that sticking with me like Hungar's nickname.
I remember that one.
Oh man, that's bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. There's we have a board game called Monsters Rampage Over America or something like that.
Giant Monster Rampage.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great game.
My son and I, we were just talking about that game where you take like action figures or dinosaurs and then
Yeah.
build buildings out of Legos, and each like point of damage would knock off a chunk of the building. Yeah, I've got every version of that. The original was the better. The second edition sucked, but it was a lot of fun because you could build up your monster, whether it be a Godzilla, a Cthulhu, or a giant robot, and as you did things, you actually got experience points and got better. It was just a fun,
I used to own the Rampage video game, like the stand-up, the arcade game.
That was.
Oh man,
That one should have had robots.
Yes.
Yeah, it should have.
It had a robot character.
Yeah, a robot to go with the werewolf.
Haven't I
Wait, werewolves aren't giant. Why did they have a giant werewolf?
I honestly
A giant
don't know why
robot would have
they
made
did
more
this.
sense. Ultraman. Ultraman climbing the building. But the giant robots are always good guys.
Well, they did a they redid
Oh my
Rampage,
God.
I think in the late '90s, and I think you fight against some robots, some giant robots.
Right.
It wasn't. Wasn't Jet Jaguar a bad guy robot?
No, he was a good guy.
Yeah, he was a good guy, I think.
The kids
Oh,
loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just that company's version of Ultraman, right?
Ultraman, yeah, it's just a
Pretty
Ultraman
much, yeah.
ripoff.
You know what? I remember what the Dungeon Minister talks about. I had that same one. Where it had the rock, where they actually allow.
Oh yeah, they were the Shogun Warriors. Oh, dude, thank you
Shogun
for
Warriors,
bringing
I
that
remember
memory back. Oh, my brother and I each got one of those things for Christmas. I got Raiden and he got the red one, and oh my god, that was so much fun. I mean, we were like 8 and 10 years old with the
Yeah, but
rocket
they were
hand.
not. That was the American
Uh-oh.
rebranding. They were Japanese toys
Yeah, but
from
they were-
Bandai.
Yeah, like what?
Not off
A
on-
Gigantor and
It was Godzilla. They had I think they had 3 of the samurai warriors or whatever that Marvel eventually turned into a comic book. But they also had a Godzilla, and he shot something out of his mouth.
yeah,
I don't
Godzilla
know
had a
why they
comic for a
stopped
while.
making. I don't know why they stopped making toys that shot stuff.
I know exactly why they stopped making toys that shot stuff. In 1978, there was a Battlestar Galactica Viper, and some kid aspirated one and died. And it was literally a Battlestar Galactica toy from 1978, and that was the end of shooting toys in America.
Yep, I had
Hey,
that
you know
Cylon
what?
It was like a 3-year-old kid.
Okay, well, right before that happened, I don't remember which cereal company it was, but I saw the advert for the Boba Fett action figure. The original Boba Fett action figure, right?
Yes.
You mailed in 2 box tops. I did it. I got it. Okay. And my parents, they're like, you'll never get that toy. That's always such a ripoff. I got it, right?
Yep.
And something happened to it.
Right.
And I was able to one day show my parents or my mom, because my father passed away. I'm like, remember that toy? Look, it's now worth $10,000 freaking dollars. And she just turned freaking white.
And you know what? Talking to Travis there for 1975 about the Voltron. Yeah, I hated the 6 stupid lion things when it was made from like 37 vehicles. That was what it was kind of. I said that's when you get everything that's kind of cool. And speaking of big stumpy robots, how can we forget Transformers when you start having everything added together?
How about some robot jocks, guys? That was some good shit.
Oh, that movie was so bad.
No, I'm talking about the die.
We're talking about GoBots and
GoBot toys were crap because they were made out of.
Robot Jocks, that movie.
Yeah, the movie Robot Jocks.
Yeah.
With
that was
that
so
guy
bad.
with the guy from Alien Nation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Who did
Absolutely.
that was like he did like 3 things in his entire career. 1 episode of Remington Steele, Robot Jocks, but that was after he did Alien Nation, and then he
Alien
just
Nation was good.
disappeared.
I like
Yeah,
Alien.
it actually was.
Yeah,
Did you
that was-
guys quick trivia? Do you guys know who played George San Francisco in the movie?
Yeah, Mandy Patinkin.
Yeah,
Oh,
Patinkin,
okay.
yeah.
All right, you win the gold today. Yes,
Wait,
that
wasn't it
blew
the
me
same-
away when I found out that was him. I was just like,
wasn't it the same actor in the series? Didn't they bring him the exact same?
No,
Oh,
No, I don't
different
think
guy.
so.
because I thought that the one that they replaced was the.
But that guy never stopped working. He's just always working on Broadway. He doesn't do Hollywood.
yeah, he's kind of a
Mandy,
Mandy Patinkin.
prima
Yeah, he's a
donna.
singer.
last thing he did was Criminal Minds. On TV.
Yes, that he was actually really good in that, and it was one of the few times I was sorry to see him go. But I guess, and his reason for wanting to leave was actually decent because he didn't realize how ugly the show was and how much it was actually affecting his actual soul, which I didn't think he had one because he was such a, kind of a putz at times. But, yeah,
Who?
you're absolutely right. Sage Forsaken, bringing it in. The new Final Faction toys actually have shooting, missile launching toys for $1.25. Have you seen these, Brian? Final Faction. Okay, get to your local Dollar Tree. Next opportunity, they've got some action figures called Final Faction for $1.25, and the monsters or the aliens transform with a little bit of paint, putty, whatever, into great 28 millimeter monsters.
All right, I gotta get off
they're like
this.
3.5. They're like 3.5-inch figures, but for $1.25, they're phenomenal. And then the
That's cool.
accessory packs and stuff like that, all kinds of cool Griblies, dude. Seriously,
They also
Go to
they
one
were working on a comic book, but then I accidentally bullied them into shutting that down.
yeah, yeah.
You bullied them?
He made so much fun of their political ineptitude or I don't know. He just bullied the heck out of them, and they're done. They did
crazy.
continue the comic.
All right.
That's the
It wasn't
story I'm
even
sticking
intentional. I
with.
wanted to see the next one, and it's like, no.
Well, were we just mad because they had Churro the guard dog?
No.
Maybe
Yeah, that was one.
in that one.
because churros are meant to be eaten, not.
I love would agree.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna name a Chihuahua, Churro isn't a bad one. Just saying, it's not the worst name you could give
All
your
right.
pet Chihuahua.
Churros,
yeah.
come on, Chihuahuas aren't real dogs. They're just kind of like oversized rats.
But hey,
With really
but,
tiny
uh,
little noses and big giant foreheads.
Omen, I am actually really impressed that you actually knew that little bit of info about the Final Faction because I never pictured you, even that being your thing. You're more of a gamer, but
No.
Right on.
I looked it up while you
All
guys
right.
were talking.
Hey,
'cause
Oh,
I gotta take care of this thing right here. I got some family issues that just came up.
I thought that
appreciate
was
it.
just Kevin giving you a hard time.
no, I was. I
Okay,
was
no
just
worries,
joking.
no worries, man.
I was just flipping through. I said, "Wait a minute, there's a dog," and they're like, "Churro, a Chihuahua." I'm like, "Really?"
Hey, Shadow Jr., you wearing a double hat?
yes,
He's
I'm wearing
doing
two
it.
top hats.
Okay.
Well, so
I
you
told myself I would not wear this top hat until I got a second one, and then he found this one in the gutter while he was at Home Depot or something.
So see, if he doesn't put the second one on, Jack stops animating. It's just like Frosty the Snowman. So,
And I didn't find it in the gutter. I found it in the parking lot when we were at Walmart today. And it had the coolest freaking set of goggles on it. Someone just left it, like they had taken it off by the plants, they got the little bushes in the parking lot. And I saw it,
All
I'm
the
like,
best things are found in Walmart parking lots.
I don't know. I've seen some stuff in Walmart parking lots I didn't want to pick up.
no, I didn't think he was going to wear it. Thankfully, he's wearing it on top of another hat. But he likes this steampunky thing. He dresses up, does a lot of costumes and stuff for some of his projects. But I knew if I left that, where it was and ever breathed word of it, he would just, But
Yeah, I
if
found
it's
some
all
better on
about,
the
do you have the
Go
goggles handy? Do you have the goggles handy?
Yeah, I just showed them.
Okay.
I tried wearing them though. Sadly, they don't fit on a human head.
Okay, well,
They're built.
you'll
There's
have
not
to
something
cut the
to go
strap
on the
after
head.
we sterilize it. But yeah, he's got this pair right here. Ow, son of a! Excuse my French. He's got this pair, and he's a huge fan of Doctor Horrible. So he's been listening to that a lot lately. So I'm like, yeah, those are meant for him.
So
It's one of those things.
the question I'm going to have for you, because I know you have questions, but we never got to them, are what are your top 3 favorite games for Big Stompy Robots? I'm just going to.
All right, nice question. I'm gonna let.
Questions in these things. They're not.
Yeah, I only came up with like 3.
I know.
And I wrote them down, and I don't know where they are, but I got most of them up here. But Brian, you go ahead with the answers. How about you first?
Man, I'll be honest with you. I haven't played a lot of giant stompy robot games, to be honest with you. I mean, Adeptus Mechanica, but those are like vehicles and stuff. I mean, when I think of giant robots, I think like either a robot or like one person in it or something. But I don't know. Probably.
It's usually used in conjunction with BattleTech, and those are robot vehicles. So,
again, I mean, BattleTech. That whole Lin Min Mei singing I just was done with it.
You mean Robotech?
For Robotech, yeah,
I'm just looking for the games. The games. What are your 3 favorite games? So,
I mean, I probably don't have one, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, I mean, there was a couple kaiju games like that. That Rampage one is really fun because you can do whatever you want to do with it. But there was a Godzilla kaiju. I think it was called Kaiju, I think, and it was like a Godzilla game. That was pretty. It's like a board game. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I almost bought that one.
Yeah, other than that, I honestly haven't played many. Like,
well, what about in your weird World War II sort of universe? Aren't there any games that use kind of like diesel punk type mecha things?
I mean, you've got your mechs, your mech size
like
stuff.
Tactic. Yeah.
But would that be a giant robot?
Yeah, absolutely.
If it has legs, it's a giant robot.
So just anything that's, probably my Weird War would be my favorite, just giant robot genre or just game. I have my own game system that uses, I've designed my own system, so I use all the mechs from all the different game systems in my game. So it would be my game, I guess, would be my favorite.
Okay, now since you brought that up, is there any way we can get a copy of it?
I have most of it typed up, and some of it's on my WordPress or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But I need to get that in a PDF format. A lot of people ask me about it, and I just haven't. I've got like notebooks full of rules of all the different, machines and all the different, units and TOEs and different countries and whatever. But I haven't had the time to type it all out. So, but yeah,
welcome to the show, Bashing Pordogo.
But yeah, that's one of my lists on my list this year to start writing all that up, and I'll give it out for free.
What? I think I know what you're talking about, might I? I don't remember the name, but I know there was something about like. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I forgot what it was called though.
The Polish PC game with alternative World War II story with giant robots.
I feel like
or something like
I remember that, if it's what I'm thinking, I remember Rasputin being involved in it somehow.
Sorry.
So there was a weird World War II game called AE World War II where Rasputin like is resurrected or whatever, and he's part of like the Soviet faction, like a Soviet mystical faction.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of.
That might be it.
The little guy's a bigger WW2 fan than me, more
Right
World
I'm
on.
not
War
really
One.
big into World War II. I'm more into World War One, but
Well, so Scythe is kind of in that 1920s era.
It's in the 20s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all the books. I've never played it. I mean, I played it online just so I could try learning the rules, but I've never actually sat down with the.
We need it on the desk by Friday.
You know what? I'm joking about it, but the big thing is just getting with Brian over there and getting like 5 people all together and just playing it. That's all that has to go on.
Dungeon Minister thought his screen was messing up because Jackie's wearing the two hats. Yeah, which is funny because that when he does that, it reminds me of Johnny Two Hats from the Mighty Boosh. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
the
about,
Mighty
don't you?
Boosh, yeah.
Yeah, I love that
And
show.
it was like, what was he wearing 4 hats in the show or something? He's like,
Mhm.
kind of like, damn it.
Hey Jackie, Rick says now you got goggles for the bomber hat that he sent you.
true.
That's cool.
So
You
what-
like the Mighty Boosh. I actually used the Mighty Boosh song in one of my latest videos. The when they're in the
I'm not sure
tundra.
what the hell this means there, Travis. I just sent you books, man. But you don't like the leather
Jeez.
vest, man? Yeah, I'm even wearing the Hungar shirt, guys. Because it was actually 60 something degrees outside. And yeah, I can actually wear a t-shirt and not freeze my you know what's off.
But
Yeah,
Shadow,
he's
what
gonna,
are
we're
your
gonna I didn't think he was actually gonna do what he's doing with it, but yeah, we've got some Lysol and some Febreze and some stuff yeah.
Please.
So Shadow, what are your favorite games?
Obviously, I'm going to have to absolutely go with Adeptus, Titanicus, Epic Space Marines, all those. I lump them into one. Although I do have the new Titan game for Games Workshop still sealed in the box. Hopefully, I'll get to it this summer. We'll see. After that, I'd probably go with. I really liked the way Palladium did all of their mech games, whether it was Robotech or Rifts. The way they did that, I absolutely loved it. I even loved Mega Damage, even though most people don't. I actually liked it because it worked with my own universe, having different kinds of metals that were super high tech, and regular stuff would just bounce the crap off it. And then after that, I'm gonna probably go with Giant Monster Rampage.
Okay.
It's just a simple, goofy game that you can build whatever the hell you want and just have a lot of fun. The little guy and I had some great memories with that. Yeah, you remember playing by the fireplace there, buddy?
How could I forget?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was one of his first experiences into gaming, that wasn't a video game, and
Yeah, that's not true.
well, yeah, we played Space Marines once, and we played Galactic 25 a couple of times, but other than that, I think that was it before we got into Shadows of Brimstone and then D&D and stuff like that. How about you, Omen?
Well, there have been a few of them which I can't disagree with, but I liked Monster Apocalypse, Adeptus Titanicus with the very first version, was instead of trying to be aiming at it was aimed at the gamer rather than aimed at the miniature collector, which is what the newest stuff is. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous, but things just get bigger and bigger instead of actually trying to say, hey guys, we want you to play this game and actually put it on the board and have people play it with your friends. That's part of the reason I like the old Adeptus Titanicus, and I love the lore for some of it when they started getting into the Eldar and things like that. So that was one. I liked Monster Apocalypse, and then someone's mentioning King of Tokyo. Yeah, if you can do board games, King of Tokyo. Everyone mentions King of Tokyo, but I think King of New York is a better game overall.
I did, Justin.
But I because you have the tanks and everything else coming in, and you take damage, and you can only stay in certain places, and the idea is trying to move up to Manhattan. it's a bit longer. It takes a little bit longer to set up, but man, there's such fast games. You can play a couple of rounds in an hour and a half, and you're done. And that's what I like about some of these. Is the problem I have with BattleTech is that while everyone talks about it, and I haven't played Alpha Strike, was you can't put a lot of robots down. It's slow. It's not really,
I'll be honest with you, my big beef with BattleTech is I didn't like what the mechs looked like, to be honest with you. I thought a lot of don't get me wrong, there's a couple good ones, but most of them just looked and you just didn't want to buy them. They just didn't look cool.
Check this shit out. I don't know how well you can see it. There's this game out there I just picked up called Cav.
Yeah, Cav. That's from Reaper. Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
It's actually
I thought had some really cool stuff. What was that?
It has some really nice looking mechs. Easy to put together. Pretty cheap. They've got Talon Games who does it now, not Reaper. If you buy the book for $30, you get 4 free mech. It's going to cost you about $10 for shipping, and it's a lot faster system. Do you guys remember Hero Clicks and Mech Warrior and all the, click games? Well, instead of using clicks, they've got these cards, and as it takes damage, all of the numbers go down like those games.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't have to keep track with the like in BattleTech where you have to mark off the wound boxes and find some way to do that, whether it's laminated, putting it in some sort of plastic sheet. And like Omen says, getting more than a couple of mechs on the table. I mean, you got to have a good place to put those sheets. You know what I mean? The record sheets for each mech. And I love BattleTech back in the day when I was a kid, but like Owen said, we only had like 2 or 3 mechs each. So it was like, 1-on-1 or, 3 against 3, and when I played Space Marines or Titanicus, we had freaking dozens of Titans. We'd play 10,000. I had one.
That's another thing with BattleTech is it just didn't, like, militarily, it didn't seem right. You had just a couple mechs, and I mean, it's just like, what? That's a battle. I mean, there needs to be platoons and all that kind of crap.
The vehicles and stuff that they're gonna bring back.
Infantry.
But Cav's already got the whole vehicle situation under control, and it's like you said, it feels more like a war, like Space Marines. We'd have these giant games where there'd be mech, infantry, vehicles, flyers, all this crap within one really easy system, and it felt like a gigantic war versus this kind of quasi-gladiatorial, macho freaking robot freaking slugfest. I read lots of the BattleTech books and loved it, but trying to play it now, it's just like maybe Alpha Strike will be better because everything's been like the numbers have been crunched down to you've only got a couple of numbers instead of dozens and scores of wound tick boxes, which just seems like it would take
there's a big
playing it as a video game sounds like it would be a lot easier because the computer's doing all that for you.
It does all the work for you.
And
speaking of video games, it's Jackie's turn to give off his 3 favorite giant stompy robot games, and I'm gonna bet you most of them are gonna be video games.
All right, I'm gonna prove you wrong. I have 3. All right, number 1, Giant Monster Rampage. Number 2, wait, what was number 2? I forgot what number 2 was. I genuinely
You're on a roll, kid.
I had a number 2. Well, number 3 is War of the Monsters, which is a video game, but number 2 was not a video game. I can assure you of that. I just don't remember what it was. Dang it!
You'll remember. You'll come back.
Space Marines, what game have you played that wasn't a video game or they have giant stompy robots in it?
I know the Ogre.
Oh, Ogre. Is that giant robots though? That's like giant city tanks.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not sure it's a big.
I remembered it because somebody mentioned it up here.
Yeah, I like the 6mm stuff better than the other things that come out. If you're going to be doing big stumpy robots, I don't need them to be like this tall. I like them when they're small, and then like the other miniatures are just, almost Because to me, I don't know, is I like having a large battlefield, and by having 6mm, you can make
Maneuver.
because a lot of vehicles can look pretty cool, but they look like reasonable size and they're moving around, and that's one of the reasons I like that. But
thanks, guys. The shirts are available. Just go over to Hungar's site. They're like $25, and they'll get to you in just a couple of days. And all the proceeds for these shirts go to, I believe, the Wounded Warrior Project, which, a great charity if you're going to donate. War Machine is a free and great game. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Matt. Other than it's a great game. And Rick was the one who brought up Ogre. That's a fun game. I've got the original, little pocket envelope game, but we played one game of it last year, and it's a fast game with all kinds of stuff. I've even got the Ogre Thulu expansion miniatures that are worth like $250-$300 now, and I just wanted to take them and take some blue stuff and make a whole bunch of cheap molds of them, and then put them on eBay. Not the molds, but the originals, and just have like a crap ton of ogres made out of dental plaster, because that's a great way to go if you want to.
I saw a bunch of ogre stuff like 3D STLs on, I think, Colts.
You know what? I don't even know why I didn't even think of that, dude. Yeah. I don't even know why I didn't think of that. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what was when they did that Kickstarter? They made like $1 million or something like that. It was one of the biggest at the time.
Yeah, but I got all of that stuff off
BattleTech
aftermarket.
No, Ogre.
Oh, Ogre. Oh, yeah. Okay.
That was
I got it all. I got it all off eBay, dirt cheap, because after the hype, that stuff, drops in price, especially if you buy it during the summertime, because that's when people are desperate for money, because the holidays, are over, and people go through their closets, go, I need some money. What can I sell? Oh, I'm not playing Ogre. Boom. I got it for I got everything for it for like $50.
Well, I think also the problem that came with the Ogre was it wasn't a great game listening to something. I never played it myself, but they kind of went, oh, why was everyone so raving about this game? It's okay, but it's not the best. I'll tell you what. Does anyone remember the old TSR game where they kind of had, like, you had the sheets and you would put like weapons on your stuff? You had like a giant penguin.
You know what? I know what you're talking about, because I actually freaking have it, dude. It's called. Hold on. I don't know why I didn't think of it, because I got to play this game someday. Gamma Knights.
Oh, Gamma.
No. It was different than that one. It was actually.
Oh, really?
It was tongue in cheek. They had like a giant penguin, and you could put like weapons on like its shoulders. Like it was like a 8x11 sheet, and you would put the.
I have no idea. That sounds hysterical.
It was completely tongue in cheek, which is what made it a lot of fun to at least buy. Sometimes the games are just fun to look at, even if they're not the greatest games. And that was one of them. I just remember that there was a giant penguin. There were a few other monsters in there.
There's another one I just thought about was Eat Hitler. It's a game where you play as dinosaurs and you eat Hitler. Try to eat Hitler.
Oh, you know what? I heard of that. I think Connell brought that up. Maybe.
It's a fun game. It's a lot of fun. You just
I bet Jackie would love that one.
Yeah, we did a battle report for that one. Yeah, so you guys being gamers, okay? Where's all the battle reports? Where's the games on the channels?
I've never done one, but because mostly I mostly do the RPGs, to be honest. And if I'm not doing an RPG, it's Shadows of Brimstone, which is a cooperative board game. But we actually kind of did one for Aeronauticus Imperialis and Ogre, but we've got the whole summer coming up, and my son's best friend is probably going to be staying with us for the summer. So I told him and them that they will not be playing video games all day long. We get one game a day, Monday through Friday. One, because his mom will be at work, and we can sit and play, a war game or a role playing game or whatever. One game a day, and after dinner, you guys can play video games until your eyes start bleeding. I don't freaking care, as long as we get one game in a day. So I figure that gives me like 30 or 40 games, and if it's the two of them, I can I can do the battle report of them, butting heads with
Playing it, yeah.
with Ogre or Aeronauticus or Space Marines or Galacta or whatever we pull out of my collection, because I got hundreds of freaking stupid games here. And like I said,
here's the problem I have with a lot of the battle reports, and I'll tell you who does a really good job. And then she doesn't do them anymore. Was Wargamer Girl was doing the stuff for for War Machine. Whenever she did her stuff, that was fantastic because it was more of a narrative aspect. She would talk about the rules and everything. I liked her the way that she did it, because it wasn't. She just did a really, really good job for it. And I know it probably took her hours and hours to do it, but I don't think she does that anymore.
Yeah, she's like making movies or something now.
Yeah, she does her little
She's in
paint.
some sort of a movie now. Or I was never a War Machine guy, so
Yeah.
I knew of her channel, but I never watched it because I wasn't interested in the game that she was playing.
No, I just meant as far as quality of what she did. I think that hers was top notch for battle reports. It was great, but my guess is it probably took her about 20 hours to do each one of those, if not more, because she'd have different angles. She would talk about it. She would talk about how it went, and so it's and it would take like 10 or 15 minutes. Sometimes you have to have good sound, you have to have good visuals, you have to be explaining everything, and a lot of people just don't put the effort into it. That's what to me kills it, from my perspective.
Yeah, our battle reports, they're just made like you're in the room. You're just playing with us. It ain't flashy. It's just us giving each other shit, rolling dice, having a good time. We don't do like the studio polished stuff. We just do it because it's fun, man. We love doing it. We love playing games.
Hey, use your mic, buddy.
Well, and then the heavy gear, similar. I mean, looking at how they were talking about, I think that heavy gear was more, at least when I saw it, was it 97 when I saw it? It was one of them where I like the armor penetration values more than I do the damage.
It was more military too.
Yeah.
It was like a military, setting, and it looked awesome too. The anime-ish kind of look, but it was like it was hard sci-fi military. It wasn't like the clans and, like you said, kind of gladiatorial kind of combat. It was like full-blown armies fighting each other. Yeah.
I'm going to mention something everyone talks about. Well,
hey, Justin, real quick. Justin, that's why I liked Cav, because it is 10 millimeter.
Yeah.
And everyone's talking about affordable. To me, I hate saying it because when I look at games, I really don't care if it looks exactly. I don't have this WYSIWYG, which everyone tells me. Like, no, just tell me what it is and we'll play. It's the old school. You know what? I can play with paper chits. That's what
it's a representation, not a simulation. Yeah,
exactly. That also keeps the affordability down. I mean, it keeps it affordability so everyone can afford it. And which let's put the stuff on the table. Let's not sit
play.
there. Yeah,
let's
that's
play.
the way I am.
One of the reasons we don't do battle reports is, believe it or not, our camera does not have a pause function.
Okay.
I mean, do you have any editing software?
None. We've never edited a single video. We've done almost 600 videos, not edited a single one yet. We're looking into it, but
dude, it is. I'm telling you, it is easy. I am the worst tech guy you can possibly imagine, and I freaking love editing videos, man. It's a lot of fun.
What software?
We use it's Filmora.
Okay.
Filmora Wonder. It's called Filmora, but Wondershare is the brand. It was like, I think we spent what? It was like $60, and you had it forever, and all the upgrades. It was like a lifetime, whatever it was back then. and it's just layers. You just layer this thing, and you put the music on top of this, and it's so easy when you start. Because, like, Shadow, you play that music at the beginning of your show. I can't hear a damn thing. I don't know what it sounds like at all. Now, if you did
really?
the edit,
Rick from 28. That's weird. Every once in a while, it comes out pretty crappy. Like one, but not very often. Usually, because I'm playing it right here on my tablet in front of my other tablet. Rick
okay.
wrote that music for us, and most
that's
of our
cool.
videos, you could, he's a great musician and has a great channel. Rick from 28mm RPG. If you guys haven't subbed to him right now, what are you guys doing with your life? Get over there and sub. Of course, I'm biased. I'm in his Traveler game on Sundays, but he's a great guy. Absolutely, one of my favorite channels.
Man, we were talking all about you, man.
I heard
everybody
some
knows
of it,
all your deepest, darkest secrets now, but we won't tell anybody. Don't worry.
but it was all live.
It's all lies. I hope so, man. Those are pretty crazy.
It's not what I said, but I prefer that actually.
Well,
especially he's a good kid.
I'm going to mention this much, especially now with the 3D printing, you're beginning to go, well, why? I think that sometimes these companies are forgetting great rules help. And we'll see where 3D printing takes some of them with the STLs. But like, look, I want a game that's just fun, that's fast, and whether it's GW or some of this, sometimes it feels like they just don't. That they forget about that. They expect of course they're making all their sales off of people like myself who buy miniatures and won't assemble them until like 20 years later.
Well, listen, we're the last generation to buy minis from a company. I'm telling you, this is it. STL. When printers become plug and play, when it's so easy that your grandparents could do it, you'll be buying STLs and printing them at home. And what you're going to get, you're going to get good rule systems. Those are going to be the successful gaming companies. It's not going to be minis. It's going to be rules.
Well, everyone's going to have some problems with doing it, but I'm like, I don't know. Some of it was fun, and you just clicked it, and I said, okay, that's all. That's my big problem with a lot of them is I'm like, I just want them to push fit the nice ones. Let's put them on the board and let's go. I don't want to spend 20 hours assembling something to play a 1 hour game.
Hey, man. I absolutely freaking love model assembly. More than I do painting.
Modeler.
Yeah, I freaking love it, dude. When you see some of the stuff we're going to show off Sunday, there's no way 3D print's going to be able to do that stuff for a few more years. And when it does, I'll be there. Our friend Fritz from GM's Alco, he got a couple of 3D printers, and he's going to be one of my number one guys to print me up stuff. Right, Fritz? Right?
I mean, I'm not against having the 3D printers, and it's just part of me just goes, it just needs to be easy, because I think that they've forgotten some of that, which is we just want to go. And there's something to be said for metal. I still like metal for the feel.
Okay. Metal's dead, man. It's dead. No, I'm a metal guy. But
have you checked out Hydra Miniatures or Bronze Age?
Oh, well, sure. I just bought a bunch of Bronze Age stuff for a buddy of mine in Germany. But the thing is, it's just, just caught, that pewter tin mix, that's that fluctuates on the world market. And when you get to, you're not going to have that commodity issue any longer because you're just doing resin. You're doing like 3D printed resin and stuff, and you're not going to have that kind of problem. And you're not going to have to.
You know what? I've actually heard talk that they're trying. If it weren't for the gun issue, we'd already have metal 3D printers.
There are metal 3D printers. I can say
there is an issue though. I will
because my friend was talking about that when she worked for Halliburton. The problem is that the metal 3D printers are in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
that's what kills.
So are VCRs. So
No.
VCRs with the-
I mean, no. You have to understand this. Well, it depends on what you're looking for, but a lot of it, when you're starting to look at it, is it's not as easy as you think it is to just do it because you
No.
have to get the powder.
the heat and the
Yeah.
heat and all that. Yeah, I totally get it.
And,
But I mean, if we're ever going to do the Star Trek replicator thing, they got to include metal. Just saying.
yeah,
dude.
I don't know.
I know, I'm a big
Raven
fat nerd.
Wolfstar, my problem with Mech Warrior is.
Oh, hey, Raven, long time no see, buddy.
all sorts of-
I was going to watch your show this morning, but I got dragged out of the house.
And here's the other thing, Raven. When you look at it, I'm trying to sell my Shadowrun stuff. Why? If you like something, keep it. Who the hell cares? Just don't buy it.
Dude, that was my biggest thing. It's like, why are you like, I stopped 40K at second edition. I was done. It wasn't this. I mean, second was getting away from why I was playing 40K. Rogue Trader was my game, and I'm like, why are you guys playing the new shit? I mean, why are you going through all this crap and buying all these new books? I mean, you become collectors, man. You get duped into the marketing. I mean, I'm just saying, it's just like, just play second edition or third or whatever.
Well,
right. I stopped
it
buying Games Workshop stuff for the most part. The only reason I got Aeronauticus and the Titan Legion was because I bought a guy's collection, and those were in there.
Fine.
Well,
But I do have a side business where I buy and sell
secondary
games.
market.
Yeah.
I bought a bunch of stuff, which the problem is that my son, I think, stepped on them.
Hey guys, real quick, I want to introduce you to my smart ass wife.
Oh yeah, I saw her earlier. Oh, wait a minute. You changed your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, she just she has to put her 2 words in every freaking thing we say. But I love her. You guys can't hear.
No. Oh, have her sit next to you on the camera, dude. We got no problem with that.
She's in the zone. She's playing Skyrim right now, dude. So she's chopping people's heads off and collecting every possible thing she can to put it in her barrels at home.
Okay, you know what? Let's try to bang through these couple of questions because I'm actually curious.
I was going to intervene at the 1 minute or 1 hour and 30 minute mark and say, let's get through these 3 questions. But
right. Do any of you guys use them? And then since Jackie's not running any games, I'm just gonna form them in the way of his story because he's writing a bunch of stories for different projects that aren't actually games. But in your RPGs, Brian, do you use any big stompy robots or medium stompy robots or small stompy robots in your games? Like role-playing games?
Yeah, role-playing wise, we mostly play fantasy in role-playing. I don't like modern role-playing. I just something with guns and stuff doesn't work for me. But but we play Pathfinder First Edition. I do at times introduce like mechanical
Golem?
Automatons, like mystical automatons or whatever. So but yeah, clockwork, vehicles or that's about, but it's usually in a mystical kind of thing. And it's usually a big bad. Like the big bad is like it's white super thing. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that for myself. When I was playing Unleashed which is the Horde's side of War Machine as the role-playing game, because I did that. I like sometimes the idea of it. I do like the steampunk more than anything else for it. I like the boilers and everything else that come about from it. But that's the 1800s feel for if you're going to get something. But other than that, I can't think of it. Most of my games are either going to be high sci-fi. I'm sorry, when I say science fiction, that's going to be probably a couple hundred years ahead, or I'm going to be doing something that's more like Brian said, which is going to be hard fantasy. It's not going to be the Steam age. I don't usually look at that and go, oh, that's the time period I want to play.
Hey, Raven, send us a link or type it out because you're not a moderator. Like spell it out for us or tell us where we can check that out because I'd be interested in seeing that. And Hungar, welcome to the show. Yes, I am wearing the Hungar the Tarvarian shirt tonight in honor of you, my brother.
So yeah, that's where I came from.
Yeah, I originally weird WWII.com is my blog, and I've been doing that for like 10 plus years, 20. Hell, I don't even know what it. I think it's like at least 10 years. And I did a bunch of like story based battle reports, just pictures of the stories and stuff. So those are a lot of fun.
And to be fair, if I was playing Robotech or Rifts, I enjoyed that aspect for the stuff. But the slow things I can't stand.
Yeah,
that's the. I don't mean that. It's just the battle tech just bugged the hell out of me. I know everyone loves, but like it was cool until I actually had the board. As soon as I put on the board, I'm just like, no. If the hexes were 300 meters each, it wouldn't bother me. But at 30 meters, it bugs the hell out of me. The range should be 10 times long.
Tell us about your big stompies.
All right, I use, depending on which era I'm in the story, it's either like big war robots, which I use and they exist, but in the story they're only going to be like ruins. Like you see this massive, what used to be like a like big robot that holds other massive robots, and it's just laying in ruins on the ground. And if you're going to see something active, it's going to be like almost like a police, like a heavy police type robot. I have a picture of one somewhere in my room. If you want, I can grab that. But
I'm going to ask you a quick question, Jack.
Sure.
Have you ever played Horizon Forbidden West or
Horizon Zero Dawn?
Yeah.
I played Horizon. We used to rent a room upstairs, and the guy who lived there had that game, and he let me play it. I played it for one day, and I got like halfway through the game, and I had to stop playing because my head was pounding, and I never played it again.
Okay, I was just wondering if you played it and enjoyed it, because that, I don't know if those count as giant stumpy robots, but they definitely have the giant robot feels about them. So
yeah, I didn't play that game that much. Again, I only played it for one day, and I was playing it all day, and I regretted it, but it was really good.
Okay. I was just curious because that has in the picture, just like you're talking about with the giant robots sprawled out and things like that. That's what's just curious.
Yeah. But if I'm going to be portraying active robots, they're either going to be smaller things, but if they're like big, giant, stoppy robots, as the title suggests, they're either going to be sort of, I guess the only way I would describe their appearance is, if any of you play No Man's Sky, it would be the Sentinel Walkers from those. But yeah, they would be sort of patrolling around the big cities and like walking around, making sure that there aren't any rioters or protesters going about, or there would be patrol exploration robots that would be going around desolate or abandoned planets looking for people hiding out there.
Fritz, what do you mean by HG models? The old metal's been looking at the new HG. I'm not sure what that is.
I'm hoping that's not Mercury.
Mercury.
Yeah, you would have to like freeze it or something. You have to freeze Mercury to get because I have a lot of old metal miniatures from all the way back to the 70s. I mean, I've got a crap ton of old sci-fi and fantasy.
Any of those rotting out yet?
Most of them are pretty damn good. Most of them are pretty damn good. Yeah. I've I've picked up a few things that were rotted that like in blister packs, and then I get them, and they're like, I'm just, what the hell,
Rusting
but
out.
I, I've been pretty lucky. But I've got things from Hinchcliffe, Heritage, Grenadier, Ralpartha, or that Italian company I can't pronounce, something Rocco or Rocolia or something like that. It's a weird ass company. You name it, I probably got some. I've got miniatures. I don't know who the hell made them. I've got Superior models. Just a ton of old metal miniatures, and I really need to get to painting those so that they'll not rot. But they're worth so much more when they're unpainted. But we're actually getting to the point where even painted minis are fetching, up to $20 for a Grenadier freaking wizard and shit. It's just crazy. What's happened to
man.
miniature market.
Collectors.
So I guess the next, as we're talking about this, is what's your next question there, Shadow?
Well, actually, I was going to answer the first one. What was the first question?
Do you use them and how?
No, I knew. I was joking.
Okay.
Of course, I use them. You name it. I mean, unless I'm playing like Boot Hill, which I don't think that's a thing. Wild Wild West with Will Smith was an abomination, and
anything with Will Smith is an abomination.
But I've played Gamma World, Star Frontiers, Traveler, Robotech. You name the game, I've probably played it. And if it's got robots in it, I absolutely played it. Yeah, I mean, literally, there's so many games. And my friend Kevin, who was supposed to show up tonight, but couldn't make it. He might make it the last minute, try to get in. He and I played in a very long, 25-year long science fantasy RPG campaign, and he was the robot master, and he was designing all kinds of crazy ass robots, which leads into my next question. I know, Owen, you kind of touched on it, but how big is too big when it comes to your robots?
You know what though? How big is too big is when you're bigger than the skyscraper. That's kind of my view on it, because we're talking about what games you're playing. I can tell you what my favorite sizes are, because I like the things that have the 20, I like the ones that are about 20 feet, probably the size of a small Cessna that can fly, things that are low where they can hide behind stuff. They're about the size of a tank, that can move around, and they're agile. I love those aspects, but honestly, what am I mentioning? Hey, let's go play the Kaiju one, which is Monster Apocalypse and Adeptus Titanicus, where the things are like 300 feet tall. Okay. How can I say that it's too big? As long as it really is about the same size as a skyscraper or smaller, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I would probably stick with no bigger than like a couple stories at the very most. Mostly like, like a traditional like quote unquote tank mech type of thing. Anything bigger, it just doesn't seem like it doesn't fit. I mean, it wouldn't be on. I don't know. I just don't think it's militarily practical. It would, and usually I play military games. I don't play, rampaging, robot whatever. But I have before. Don't get me wrong, I have. And those kind of robots, like the evil scientist creates this super weapon and it's a giant robot. Then of course that's got to be big and grandiose. But if you're talking like your basic Stompy, it's like a vehicle size. It's not like a giant, enormous thing.
And Jackie, how big's too big?
All depends on the context. As was said, if it's like some sort of mad scientist builds big robot for like whatever, then yeah, it would need to be massive. Or in like a Pacific Rim scenario where they're fighting these unimaginably large monsters, then they would also need to be the same size. And for a sort of military type thing, they would need to be around the size of a tank, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller. It all depends on the purpose that they serve in the story. and that determines how big they should be.
Well, you have something in your hand you wanted to show us?
Oh yeah, I asked if you wanted to see an
Yeah,
example
absolutely.
of something, but so I ran and grabbed it.
Check it out.
Well, show it up, bud.
Okay. Oh, I don't know how to work the cameras with this. Hold up. Wait.
What is
Wrong.
UNS? What does that mean?
Oh, it means Unión Nacional Sinarquista, or the National Union of Sinarchists.
What's
It was
that?
it was an old political party in Mexico.
Oh, okay. See, you taught me something. Damn it! What are you
Yeah.
thinking? It's Saturday. I'm not supposed to learn nothing.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Oh yeah.
Maybe you can blow up the picture.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Uh-huh.
You don't know how to
Oh,
do it?
that looks like an old the walkers, like they had in Star Wars with
Chicken
the
walkers.
yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
The Scout Walkers, yeah.
Yeah, the
I mean,
scout.
anything with 2 legs kind of resembles that.
That's cool.
It's Baba Yaga's hut. And
That's
she's
Hey,
it.
James, what's happening, buddy?
wait.
Some chicken legs on it.
I'm futuristic. She has guns now.
I guess James is
She-
going back to snoozing. He just got here. Now he's going to take a nap.
Well, you showed up a while ago. It's just you never look at the chat.
Actually, we've had a really busy chat. And trying to keep up with it has been kind of rough today. It's been a long day. Hold on. Sage, I think an RPG set on a mech universe would be cool if your party was a crew for a mech faction. Yeah, there's actually a bunch of them out there. Heavy Gear and Robotech, obviously, and I think even the Mech Warrior RPG was like that. For me, there's nothing too big. After I saw the SDF one do that giant spaceship, robot thing, I'm like, you know what? There's no such thing as too big. And in one of my campaigns, because it was a seriously disgustingly gross, high tech, high magic campaign, there were 4 giant mechs that were just, I mean, you've heard of ludicrous speed. Well, these were ludicrous size. They literally fired. They had like the
Mega Maid.
something like that. I had a sketch of one of them where it was like throwing out an arm and it looked like it was shooting bullets. Well, those bullets were actually like aircraft. So it was just, and it was rapid fire, just like, like 10,000 freaking bullets, and they're all freaking robot drone aircraft or aircraft with people. But it was just, just a way to just be, as absolutely over the top as possible. My old man had this saying that I still think about it. If you're gonna dream big.
Go big or
dreaming
go
that little
home.
stuff. Yeah, and he wasn't even from Texas. But lo and behold, his son will someday be from Texas, or at least be in Texas. I know that's not how that works, but that's
not
my
how
dream.
it works.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
it's
some good news. The one of the best like miniature gaming cons in Texas
Yeah.
is actually gonna start going. It's as of today, I heard they're gonna do it in Temple.
Oh, really?
They're gonna do it at the convention center next to 35.
Yeah. What,
That's like 6 minutes away from my house.
Well,
no,
yeah,
you lucky bastards. Okay,
No,
here's
I
what
Millennium
you said.
Con, yeah.
yeah. No, I mean,
Oh, it's not even okay, not ReaperCon, because
No,
I don't know if I
Millennium,
told you,
it's-
Brian. I'm
what
going to
is
be
it?
holding a convention in Texas, even though I don't
All right.
live there
Of
yet.
course you are.
Yeah, I'm working on it, and I want to, because I've met so many great people over this last year that it would be an absolute crime against humanity if I don't get to game with them in person. So not like I'm going to fly them out there, but I am going to hold a convention somehow, probably in 2024.
You're
If
actually
all goes well.
26.
So I mean, you said it was in Temple. When is it?
It's not going to be this year. The location is not going to be this year. It's going to be next year. But they're trying to, if something frees up for them this year, they're going to do it there this year.
Okay.
they're gonna start. That's gonna be the place. So.
Well, it makes sense because you can get everyone from Dallas Fort Worth for 2 hours. It's about 3 hours north for Austin. I mean, it's an hour north of Austin. It allows you to do all that stuff. Now, I don't know if there's a I mean, it's centrally located for that whole thing. So.
And it's bigger than where they were at, so because it's outgrowing. And guys, this is the convention that you will see everything. You will see bookshelf Avalon Hill bookshelf games. You'll see the pocket games. You'll see Car War, the original Car Wars. You'll see the brand new stuff. It's amazing.
Hey, Brian, let me know when that's coming up because
I will.
I mean, that's one of the things that my son hates going to cons just because it's always crowded. But like, you come with me anyway. You have to get over your fear of that. But
True.
Well, I drug him over to Comic-Con, and I've always been kind of disappointed because some Comic-Cons will have games. Not the one that they have here normally, but with the Bell County. Yeah.
I actually tried to see if I could host some games up there, but they wanted me to pay. I'm not going to pay.
Yeah. I know.
If I'm dragging all of that stuff up there and committing to play, teach people how to play and have a good, I'm not going to pay any money.
Right.
They don't have like a free room.
You still got to buy a ticket to get in.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right, but they don't have free tables. Like,
I don't think they have tables at the Bell County. Nuh-uh.
Oh, no. Really? Because I've been to a bunch of cons back in the day where they literally had, a room full of just free tables. Just do whatever you want in there. Just don't leave a mess.
Well, no, this is Comic-Con. It's not.
Okay, that's all you had to say. Comic-Con.
Yeah.
That or Wizard World. Forget it. Nothing's going to be free. They're going to charge you for the air.
Well, and that's another thing that I'm a staunch supporter of if GMs are going to donate their time and effort and endeavors to put on games, I believe, and if they do so many games, I believe they should be entered for free.
Oh yeah.
But absolutely. A lot of these game cons, it's like, you still got to pay tickets and then you can host a game. I'm like, then if I would just go to play then, what is the motivation for people to have to pay and then drag all that stuff up with them as well? I mean, it usually comes down to selling something. They're hosting games to sell something. So what you lose out on all these old great games that are out of production, people who are just making their own stuff, you lose out on all of that because no one's going to pay, $30 or whatever it is to bring all your stuff up to host a game.
Well, that is how they make the money to host it. And to rent, because I've been looking into it, the cost to rent one of these places out is massive. And in order to do it, they got to charge, just about everybody.
No, but that's the thing. You will always have more players than you have game masters. Always. Because most people don't want to put on games. So you should give that.
Well, the other part that Brian's talking about is most of the time, it's my friend worked at Dragon Con, free. Uh-huh. It was 8. You had to do 8-hour days, 2 days in a row. Mm-hmm. I mean, and to be fair, I know the Bell County Comic Con here had 24,000 people in 2021, which was right after COVID, and they were opening up before that whole weird thing happened with the mandates. But, and they didn't care. It was fine. People were freaking out over it. And man, that place was crowded. It was shoulder to shoulder. And like Brian's saying there is, I've been to it. That I'm not even sure that they had room for a place. You'd have to go upstairs or something. But the library, they had it where they did a bunch of board games. And that was free. And they were giving out dice to everyone that came in. The normal
right. That's the other thing. In order to to pack the swag bags, every single person that walks through and that gets one of those, that's not cheap either.
Man, I am a gamer, man. I mean, I've owned a miniatures company. I'm all over the net. I have sponsors. I don't get paid nothing, bro. I do this because I love the hobby and I want to just to give. I just want to play, man. I'm not about making money. I'm not about, a brand
Well,
or whatever.
there's a difference between making money and breaking even, or taking a loss.
No, I get it. No, I get
breaking
it.
even. Yeah, I can do this and break even. But taking a loss. I mean, how much a loss are we talking? You know what I mean?
Well,
a couple
no,
of grand. Rather not. You know.
No,
What I
no,
mean?
but probably already
I
made
mean-
a loss.
but when Brian and I went to the library was 100% free. They were
Yeah.
donating so many games that at one point they didn't have enough. I'm sure what they could do. I think they were talking about giving some away. And Brian knows this is they'll check out board games. We're talking board games mostly.
Yeah.
They'll
Right.
check out board games now for players. And they had, I think it was in November, they were giving out free dice bags. The little dice that have 6 or 7 of the polyhedrals.
Yeah,
They
that's
were
cool.
giving them out to everyone that came in, and so it's not that you don't have players willing to come in. I think it's
No, yeah.
Like Brian's saying for this is if you're going to get the guys who are going to spend 8 hours a day being out there, if you were going to have to pay them even at minimum wage, that's $80 or $90. But even the Comic-Con here, and you get 20,000 people for some of these things coming in.
Yeah.
Let's assume that's even less. They're spending $40 or $50 anyway. There were a few of them I didn't go to. There's one I went to, which was AggieCon, which had the combination of comic book artists and games and everything else. And they even had the, they had a few movie stars come in to sign stuff. It's interesting for that, but yeah. But that's the whole point I was trying to bring out. I agree with them. Is if you're going to bring these people in, you're probably going to have 10 or 15 of them. You're not losing any money by giving them free tickets.
See, like Millennium Con has, in my opinion, has the best kind of how they do it. If you host 2 games and their games are like 4-hour slots or whatever, you get in for free. So that means you're donating time to hosting games. So that means people are coming in, hosting stuff that isn't mainstream or whatever, doing stuff that they want. They get in for free. So there's always more players than there are hosts. Always. So that's an incentive for people to come up and bring these cool games that you will never see in stores. You'll never see at the big cons.
Oh.
But yeah. But anyway, that's the kind of setup I enjoy.
So Shadow, what's your final question? I guess if you're gonna. Because you said you had 3, so that's why I was just.
Oh, well, one of them was the favorite,
Okay.
and another one was I know we covered it, but no worries. Sorry, I was getting caught up.
I got a question for you real quick.
Okay,
robots.
cool.
Your favorite robots. Are they mechanical or are they driven or piloted? Do you like sentient, pilots inside there, or the robot itself is some sort of AI?
Oh, I absolutely know my favorite robot. That's easy. What's happening, Jordan?
How's it going, everybody?
You're doing pretty good.
Hello?
You're jumping in the last couple of minutes. You know what? We'll probably stick around a little bit longer than at the half-hour mark. But
I might leave.
I'll go first. My favorite robot of all time is easily HK-47 from Knights of the Old Republic. Absolutely.
Doesn't count. I mean, it's a good answer, but it needs to be bigger than
It's
that.
the best. It's the coolest robot ever. Just in my opinion, my humble but always.
Which
deal
one
in
is
fact-
that? Is that the
bounty hunter droid from Knights of the Old Republic?
Assassin
The-
droid.
That's not
Right.
the 88 equivalent?
Assassin droid specialized in slaughtering Jedi.
Yeah.
Very
Oh,
cool.
well, that's the question. Is because where does General Grievous fit in here? You know,
He's a
He's a
cyborg,
cyborg. Yeah.
which we should do a video on.
He's more
And-
man than machine now.
that's
And
my
the cool
point.
thing is a buddy of mine is sending me an original Xbox so I can play Knights of the Old Republic once again, because playing it on tablets and small screens and crap, that don't cut it. I tried it, not a fan. And the little guys never played it.
I
And in
played
my
it.
humble
Lie.
opinion-
This
but
is
how much did you
slander.
play? You played it for like an hour.
I don't
That's
remember.
not play. Yeah.
I think I
And
played
for
it for
me,
more than an hour.
it's literally my favorite video game I've ever played. And I played a crap ton, just not lately. So real soon, the little guy's gonna get to wake up every morning to see his old man asleep with a controller in hand in the easy chair, like the good old days.
Yep.
Yep.
It'll be fun. Because it'll mean I'll
So
have like
Jordan,
an extra
what's
2
your
hours.
favorite? What's your favorite bot?
My favorite bot. Well, HK47 is a pretty good answer there, but
It is a good answer, but I feel as though it's not the part of the question. But I do like it. Pretty cool.
you know what? If you were talking about stompy robots, HK47 stomps a lot of people into the dirt pretty handily. So I think it qualifies on
I think,
technicality.
yeah, you're right. You have a point. I agree.
Well,
now.
no, but it's a big stompy robot. That's
No, he's not big at all. No, he's like C-3PO size.
Yep. But if I had to pick a stompy robot, big stompy robot, there was an anime series that was pretty fun, came on Adult Swim, great nights staying up late watching all those awesome cartoons, and that was Big O.
Yes,
I
yes.
knew it. I knew it, dude. As soon as you said Adult Swim, I'm like, how could I forget that one? That was such a great show.
Oh, yeah.
So weird. Oh, wow. That was a great one. How about you, Brian?
Oh man, big stompy robot. I don't know.
And don't forget, he also said robot or piloted, so it could be.
Yeah, I mean the question was, would you rather play with robots that are AI or robots that are controlled by like pilots?
Either.
I'd like to see him versus pilots versus robots.
Gotcha.
Get the best of both worlds. Some evil scientist, like you said, makes an army, and so the good guys make some, robo suits to fight them off. That'd be great.
So I was listening to Angry Cop, if anyone's ever listened to him, and they talked about the robot that was supposed to identify enemy soldiers, and it was like after 6 days they said, okay, let's see how you can trick the robot, and so the Marines started doing like cartwheels, and they could get right next to the robot without it identifying them. One of them decided to hide in a box and do it like the old Metal Gear. He ran. He put a box over himself and ran forward, and the robot couldn't identify it as a human being. And there was a lot of that. No, I think that for me is I like, even though I know where the world is going, I like having the ones that are I almost want to call them, they're almost like in Dragonflies, where the robot is probably about 15 feet or less, that has wings that can take off and move forward with a lot of firepower for what's there. Like you were talking about, it makes it a lot more tactical. You don't have to be tall. You're not going to be shot from way off the distance. You can move around and hide. It's about the same height as a helicopter, and it can, but it's a lot more agile as it flies through. That's the way that I like it. I like it piloted in there. I don't like them so much as, robots are okay, and I understand where they come from, but there's something to be said to have your character as that. And by having a human being in there, your character can get out of the giant stumpy robot and then go into like normal playing aspects. So that's the way I feel about it.
Jackson?
So wait, is the question, do you prefer like AI or piloted stuff, or just generally what is your favorite?
Both.
Well, I mean, what do you prefer?
Yeah.
What do I prefer? That's difficult. I'm going to say AI because my answer for my favorite. Well, is it AI? I'm trying to remember in the story if it is.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Just tell us your description
Yeah.
of what you like.
The fabrication machine from the movie Nine, if you know that.
Okay. Yeah.
I've never seen
That's
that one.
that's my
I
answer.
haven't-
It's a pretty good film. You should check it out.
Yeah, I really liked
Okay.
it.
This is
I
a
love the
weird
idea.
question.
The film was, the storyline could have worked a lot better. I love the ideas that were in 9.
Am I the only person when I hear the phrase "big stompy robots"? Am I the only person who thinks of the orc gargants and the orc
Oh,
mechs?
Nope.
Well, no, that comes back to Idiptus Titanicus. I think they're great too. I think those
Yeah,
are
big
great
O
as well.
I had a buddy who had one of the Epicast resin ones back in the
Wow.
90s.
Yeah, I had one of the I think it was
Thing was massive.
the warlord. No, not the warlord. The reaver.
Yeah, I had a
And the
Reaver
first
and a
died
couple
in-
Warlords.
It died in a fire with all 50 of my other
Oh,
tank
Ooh.
models in Virginia. Yeah, and yeah, it sucked. But I always thought that when I had a son, I would just dress him up as a warlord titan and put him on the table. But that never it came close to happening. We made him a costume of one of his favorite Lego characters, and it was pretty close. You remember that sport?
Yes, I'm looking at it right now. I'm actually not looking at it because there's a box that it's in and a couch in the way. But if it wasn't for those two things, I'd be looking directly at it.
Yep.
well, guys, I gotta bail. The old lady wants to finish what we were watching. Cocaine Bear, so we're gonna finish watching that and then hit the bed.
No worries. That lets us off the hook at roughly the 2 hour mark. You guys are all welcome to jump back in next week. Jordan, it was really good seeing you again, man. You gotta pop by more often. You're always
I want
welcome
to.
here.
Absolutely.
And guys, if you haven't seen his channel, give us a shout out for your channel, buddy. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, I'm over at the Gamers Den. Logo's just is Black D20 showing a #1 on it. I mostly cover first edition Pathfinder. It's my comfort
that's what we play.
space.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's my comfort space, but I have delved a little bit into 5th edition, run a 5th edition game for some friends, play Shadowrun, Rollmaster, lots of different games. Don't have those videos on my channel, but, I just try to cover content, throw out storytelling ideas, world building, cover like class guides and stuff like that to help people new to Pathfinder and the like, or throw out some ideas that maybe some veteran gamers just hadn't had occurred to them yet.
Very cool. Check it out,
guys. If you haven't seen his channel, he's got one of the best channels out there. I was only playing Pathfinder for a little while, and it helped me immensely. The dude, you've got one of the classiest channels out there. Don't ever stop. Seriously, it's one of the nicest channels to watch. Even if you don't play Pathfinder, the other stuff that he puts out. Someday, hopefully, our channel will be half as good. But we're never going to do editing, so
I like
maybe
the content you guys
You
put
might.
out. I think you're on your way there. Very, very much so.
Well, we don't take ourselves too seriously, and
Yeah.
unlike some people, for us, it's all about having a good time with good people. And tonight, I'm surrounded by a bunch of the greats. Not just you mugs on the screen, but there were some absolute wonderful friends of ours: Mad Eye Miniatures, James L, Crafting Gamer, Joseph Laurent, Raven. I haven't seen you in a good long time, but dude, hit me up. I want to be on your show again because I really like your show. Justin, what the hell are you doing here, man? Mobius. Although David Hargis, I think that's your name.
All right,
I can't.
guys, I got to bail. Good to
Okay,
see you
take
guys.
care, Brian.
See you later.
Hopefully we'll see you next week. And if
We'll do.
I'll hit you up in the chat in one of your videos because I wanted to talk to you about some stuff,
All right, man.
on the side.
All right,
Give
guys.
the wife a hug for us. Have a great weekend.
Say goodbye, baby.
Bye.
Good night.
See ya.
Classic, dude. Welcome to the show, David. I don't think I've seen you before, but if it's your first time, welcome to the show. I hope you enjoyed what you saw because we're just a bunch of goof offs. And who else was here that I may have missed? There's this guy named Omen Owl, and who's this?
He's
Jordan
right there.
knows it. I know I'm just being a smart ass. Dungeon Minister, another one of the greats. If you guys are not subscribed to the Dungeon Minister or the GM's Alcove, what are you doing with your lives? Shauner, one of my favorite channels of all time. 28 millimeter RPG, and that's not just because I'm in his game on Sundays. QC 250 Rider. If you're into motorcycles and stuff like that, go check out his channel. And of course, my brother from another mother, Hungar and Sage Forsaken. Don't worry, dude. We are going to get to that craft challenge. We are going to show off what we built. I know it's only been like 3 months.
I'm missing a
I'm blaming the
crucial.
little guy. As a matter of fact, mine's right here. Sage, if you're watching, I'll give you a little sneak preview. This is what I made from Final Faction. Action figures and a dinosaur.
That looks great.
I just took an old crappy dinosaur and one of the action figures. The action figure's $1.25 at Dollar Tree. And if you do miniatures, I don't know if you do miniatures, Jordan, but they've got some great they've got some great action figures that are just waiting to be turned into, demons or devils or other weird monsters with just a paint job, slap it on a base and $1.25, and you just created a monster that your friends are going to be like, what the hell is that? If you hide the, the seams and the joints, and they're just going to it'll blow them away. But with all that said, folks, I got to hit the road because I actually have another show to do in like 13
Yeah,
minutes.
you're
or
gonna
something
go with
like that.
Nathan. I might, but I might join
If
you.
you guys are curious, it's the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen. It's a paranormal UFO channel that we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. Tonight's going to be a discussion about UFOs, and I hope I'll see some of you guys there. Some of you guys, you're not well. I'm kidding. Anybody who wants to go hang out with me and Nathan, I appreciate you guys showing up. It for me, it's my way of putting a week of gaming stuff behind me so I can talk about my other, big passion in life. Because I've been doing the gaming stuff all week long, and it's nice to be able to just sort of put that away and start the week, fresh, so that when Monday rolls around, actually not even Monday, when Sunday rolls around, I can go right back to doing it all over again. Right, Omen?
Yep.
And I got to get to that movie too. So everybody, thank you for showing up. Have a great weekend. Thank you guys again. We love you guys. And Jack, take us out.
I said it.
Said what?
I said good night.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.